The queen 8 here, I would like to see myself bet. First of all, we have a big stack. That's always in people's heads, even if it's not that relevant when the pot's this small. Second of all, we have an overcard and one overcard to the bottom two pairs, which is more relevant when he's checked to the big blind, because when you check the big blind, you've got more 5x and 7x than normal. We have the backdoor straight as well. And it's just a board that we can keep barreling on quite a lot. Did he just fold a pair?
He did fold a pair.
Oh.
He only had 2 outs to improve if he was behind, you know? The pocket pair, under pair versus the light.
Oh, is it? Sorry, yeah. I thought he folded bottom pair. Okay.
Then he had 5 outs.
Yeah, I had it in my head that he had a pair, and I was like, wait.
Like, pair 4s. There's no 4 on that board, but how does he have that?
Yeah, I like my decision to check here. I think that it's just not strong enough to raise for value, and it's too strong to raise his bluff. And from a balance perspective, it is nice to have some ace-x in your range. From like a non-balanced perspective, it's a disguised ace-x if you do have it. One thing to note here, when people snap check down, you're rarely ever going to be ahead with ace high. You just have to hope they also have ace high, because when they snap check, and people will see that this is timing tells are definitely a real thing, especially when it comes to Gibbler. That when they snap check, it means they haven't even considered bluffing. So if you have like 5 high there or whatever, 4 high or whatever it was, you're going to consider bluffing for sure. So here I'm going to be probably min betting my entire range. I have more jack-x in my range because a lot of my jack-x will limp. I have more ace-x in my range because he didn't raise. Turn is obviously very good. He can have some king highs, he can have ace-x, and he can have jack-x. I want to target probably the king highs on the turn to make them fold, and then the ace-x on the river would be my plan. You can also you can fiddle around, but generally if you're picking a size, just try and target parts of their range that you think they will be able to fold. It's just such a good hand to be able to barrel as well, because if he does call with something like jack deuce, we have a king to win a smallish pot and an 8 to win a huge pot. It's just good to have equity. It's good to have equity. And with this run out, we're not doing anything but betting. I think we can just fold him off an ace. I think he's always going to be calling with a jack. There are more ace-x in his range, even though he has more jack-x that checks. There's still more ace-x in his range because there's a bunch of ace-x that does check, and there's 2 jacks on the board instead of that one ace. So we're going to go for it. I like my sizing. I think it's a size that ace-x kind of just like has to fold to. There are definitely some possibility. There is definitely some possibility that he could find a hero call here. Can't remember what he did. I assume he folded. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. The overbet's nice, I think, because one concept for overbetting is you want to overbet generally when you don't have a capped range and the other person does, or like you have a lot more nutted hands in your range than the other person does. Just like if you run the maths of it, it works. But logically as well, you don't want to be overbetting into a bunch of hands that can raise, or a bunch of hands that have your value hands crushed. Little trick here on these little known trick on these boards with the high Broadway boards. People underbarrel these so much. But if you think about it, as the raiser, you just have such a range advantage. Like you have kings, jacks, tens, king, jack, king, 10. Yeah, he might 3-bet those in some situations, maybe not these ones. And you have aces, you have ace, queen. So you can just take some hands, even just like 7-6 off, and just triple it, because he'll have so many hands like 10-9, queen, jack, king, 9. This is cute. I think that is me referring to all the limping that's going on. All of those hands that they'll end up calling 1, calling 2, and then folding the river, like the pair and straight draws. That's another trick for people out there playing the micros and mid stakes. Try and target those things that are try and target the boards where triple barrel those boards where people have a pair and a straight draw, because there are often so many combos of it. that you can get some pretty awesome print-in money when the other person isn't aware of it.
Whereas hands can call too easily because they have the pair plus the straight draw, the equity to improve, but it's really hard for them to call the third. So that's one thing I struggle with, is knowing which boards to just empty the clip on that aren't just the obvious, like, oh, it came out 10 high, then like king and ace came on turn and river scare cards. But you're saying there's boards where people can have hit it solid, but they won't have hit it solid enough to call all of it. So empty.
Gibbler here actually being a bit sneaky in hindsight, and it's easier for me to know this with the cards in front of me. But when he snap checks the flop, that should definitely send some alarm bells ringing. And I do obviously just have a perfect hand to barrel the flop and turn with, so I don't blame myself for betting. But when someone snap checks on a board that they're likely going to be betting with most of their range, that should be pretty alarm belly. And putting money in when you're behind and checking when you're ahead is a surefire way to win the SCOOP Main Event.
So if you thought he's more weighted towards strong hands with the snap check, did you lead yourself to feel that your 9 high flush draw actually probably had value, since most of his main hands would be pairs that don't have diamonds in them?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm not sure if I had that same thought at the time. Like, sometimes it's easy to miss a timing tell or misinterpret a timing tell.
Yeah.
But yeah, looking back, it's still just like such a perfect hand to barrel. If he happens to just have like ace 5 that he decides to snap check, or queen 5 or something, he's got to fold the turn.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously, true pair. And that's the cool thing about it. Even if he does have nutted hands, like house 6 is almost always good. And the diamonds like good a bunch of the time. And some vegan chocolate tastes exactly like normal chocolate does, like milk chocolate.
Dude, it's crazy. I've been making like tofu sausages that they have all the seasoning. It tastes like sausages. I'm like, okay, I'm eating the same stuff, but it might be better for my body.
Yeah.
Like
I generally don't speak about vegan stuff, but every now and again I'll just get something that I'm just like, holy fuck! I thought when I went vegan I was just giving up nice food. No, there's so much out there.
Yeah, there's a way to do it properly. And I think for that, it's important for people to feel what's best with their bodies, because some people do a lot better with meat, and some people do better pure veg. I'm still trying to feel it out, but I just know one thing for sure, that eating clean and like whole foods and like solid ingredients, that feels good.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm still eating meat like once every week.
Yeah.
Because enough nutritionists have been like, yo, do it. But I'm just going to see what my body says, because I trust millions of years of evolution in my body to intuitively know better than a nutritionist who has only modern science to help him out. Because we just don't know anything these days. This is going to check call on the flop, I assume.
Yeah.
I imagine this is going to go check shove. The check call is a brave check call, man.
Yeah,
there's a lot of scary turns out there.
Yeah, even more. There's a million bad cards on this river for the kick, so I'm aware there are not a million cards in the deck. Cool at the time, and then when it came out, I'm like, oh
shit, no, I've made a mistake.
For that,
miscounted. Yeah, I think he's definitely meant to check raise the flop though. There's a million bad rivers. There's also a million bad turns.
There's like 500,000 bad turns, and then
yeah.
Let's just take everything and exaggerate it to the power of 100,000.
I think that's probably a good way of doing it.
I mean, that's what they've done with the starting chip stacks in the tournament now, so they seem more excited. It seems to be working. Dude, did you see that like 900 million chip pot, man? So are there any significant strategy adjustments with you having 50 blinds and Harrison having 20?
Yeah, I'm just gonna be hammering it, especially against the kick. I'm just gonna be going for it. Wow, I should not be folding that. Naughty. Oh, maybe I should. The reason I folded that, I think, is just because I think the kick is he's an aggro player that won't be respecting ICM. So I guess theoretically I should be hammering on the kick, but in practice I probably wouldn't do it as much. Which is a weird thing to think about because, if you're known as a hyper aggro player, then you actually get some really nice spots. But equally, you do have to play hyper aggro to do that, and that's sometimes not the best. But it happened a lot when I was playing the High Rollers live. Like, when I first joined, I was getting 3-bet all the time. And then after I won a couple of tournaments and people saw some of my showdowns, I just never got 3-bet. Like, I would genuinely just go whole tournaments. I'd be like, I've got 3-bet twice, and I both times saw, like, aces or kings. I just never get 3-bet bluff because you get... People just know that you're not folding. It'd be a really weird thing.
That's like a lot of the meta game of poker, right? Like, you're not just doing meta for the duration of the day. Now you're talking meta for tournament to tournament, like career meta game.
Exactly, yeah. It's huge, I think. Like, I would get some ludicrous calls downs, even from like the GTO players. They would find their nut worst hand to call with, the nut worst blocker, blocking all of my bluffs and not blocking any of my value hands, and they'd still just call down some 2x pot shoves where I would only ever have it. And I was like, yeah, still not bluffing you, sir, because I know what you think of me. So yeah, here is the moment in which the cafe that I was staying in lost its internet completely. And I was just like, well then, hey, waiter, is that coming back on? He's like, oh yeah, I'm getting to it. It's like, can we try that a bit quicker? And I was like, okay, Ben, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sprint. I'm going to run. I'm going to find a cafe. I'm going to find somewhere else. You stay here. Message me if it comes back on, and I'll sprint back if I haven't found anywhere. So this is around this point, I was packing up my laptop and sprinting in my pajamas down the streets of Mexico and Playa del Carmen with a mouse slapping against my leg, skipping around some confused-looking Mexicans and tourists, trying to... I went in a bar, just like, do you have any Wi-Fi? They're like, yes. I was like, perfect. And they're like, oh, it's not on at the moment, though. And I was like, oh, brilliant. I'm going to keep sprinting. And probably around about now, I found the Starbucks, sprinted into the Starbucks, went to the person behind the cashier, just being like, oh, okay, I think it's sped up a bit. But just being like, do you have any Wi-Fi? They're like, yeah, it's no password. I was like, perfect, okay, I'm in. And then I was like, okay. Just like all the time in my head just being like, this pot is worth like 5 figures, this pot is worth 5 figures. Because it probably is like, I don't want to try and guess the maths too much, but it's probably just like a 50k pot or something. And then I saw he made that size bet, and I'd already decided like whilst I was running which sizes I was going to fold to and which sizes I was going to call. So we're good.
You made good use of that jog there.
Some good old classic poker multitasking. So Gibbler's just going for the like not betting after he limps the small blind strategy. Well ill-advised. You want to be betting a lot. I'm going for I've got a bottom pair, a 2-pair draw, a trip draw, and a backdoor flush draw, and a dream. And some more fold equity because he's checking way too much of his range. So some adjustments here would probably be that I'm betting more when he does check because he's just check folding some hands that he just shouldn't. But obviously he got me here. He got the one bet that he would have got if he just bet anyway.
Doesn't he have like a pretty solid bluff catcher that, you could induce some bets from some of your air?
He could, but the thing is, when we're such shallow stacks, your solid bluff catchers kind of become like not so solid. Like you kind of just have like near the nuts. I think he should just be betting so much of his air as well to balance that. The internet went again. I think that this is the point where the Starbucks Wi-Fi just had a little waver, because we're back. What do you want to do? And you just know the kick's just be like, play. Thanks, Gibbles, if you're watching, if you hear this, thank you so much for being the person that stuck by me and was like, yeah, maybe we shouldn't just keep playing. I think the kick was just over. I think it was just like, nah. Let's power click our way. Share his blinds. Yeah. Hashtag lol Mexico.
If it happens again, I'm raising every pot. Stay out of my way, Gibbles.
Play faster, Gibbon. At least he's honest.
I think he's trolling. I think he's making jokes.
I think he's making jokes, but he also, I think, did he just defend 9-3 off? Did that just happen?
Yeah, Gibble's been taking his odds every time, man.
Sometimes don't. Sometimes in this world, don't. And I think this might be one of those times where that very wise statement holds up to be true.
Reasons? I told you. Don't.
Yeah.
Is it? Don't.
I'm not even sure if you can make that plus chip EV, even if the ICM didn't exist. Even if I'm opening like ludicrously wide, like I don't understand that. I imagine, hopefully, if he's watching this, he's either taking that out of his game, or when I say this, he'll keep it out of his game from now on. I hope I don't bluff here, just because like it feels like one of those spots where I'm like, I am repping a king. 1.5x pot. And it's like, nah, cool. Snap. Yeah. And now he feels like, yeah, got that confirmation bias. Should be defending the 9-3 off.
Continue. Yeah, it's been programmed in there. Keep going.
Yeah.
I feel like his defend is just because he's getting like 4-1, right? So in that, from math, it's like, oh, I only need 20% equity versus even aces I have. I guess 9-3 off doesn't quite have, again, but against a range it has 20%, if it can realize it though, right? That's the challenge, is actually realizing the equity.
Pretty hard to realize your equity with 9-3 off out of position, but against an aggressive player when there's ICM pressure. But I do admire people that don't give up. Like I've gone through phases where I was just like, fuck, I'm not folding. And I just really like that type of player, even if it's like not always the most optimal in all situations. I think that type of player does find different ways to win pots that other people don't. I feel like we're probably just going to check this down again.
Right, because if you have good reads, it's not just about realizing your equity with the hand. It's also about taking some pots away that other people would not, and kind of over-realizing as a result of doing things like that.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that... See, the only kind of bluff I could do here is just like a 2x pot. I like his bet against most people. I assume it doesn't work, because it feels like he's never, ever bluffing. But I love that play against most people to try and get value from their raise size. If it works, I'm going to sound so certain. It's not going to work. I trust past me so much in these kind of spots. Come on, pot, yes. It'd been too embarrassing. But I like his thought, just trying to get some value out of ace highs. But it's pretty... Doesn't feel bluffy, when someone just presses the minimum.
Yeah.
I met Harrison Gibbler in Vegas, by the way. He's just like the loveliest person. Super, super lovely.
Yeah. It'll be funny when you hear what you said in part 1 about when you met him in Vegas.
Oh, because part 1 was so recent, I can't believe I forgot what I've said.
So recent, we actually just showered in between takes and changed clothes because we wanted to be fresh for the final, but it was not recorded 3 months ago. It was recorded about 3 minutes ago.
Yeah, and just got some hair extensions and or a haircut in the meantime.
Yeah, I like what you mentioned about the, like, in that other spot where it's checked down, you're like, yeah, the only bluff I could make is if it's 2x pot. Because I used to, when I would watch Cal play, I'd ask him a lot. In spots where it's checked down, I'm like, dude, why don't you just 2x pot here? Like, 3x pot. Like, they have nothing. They can't call. And he's like, Evan, the players in these tournaments are a little better than the players you're used to playing. They're going to know what's up. And they're not going to fall for them. Like, oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty true. Yeah, there's like, in those kind of spots, I would only ever be bluffing against a bad player. I would only ever have a kind of like mergey value hand against a medium player, and then I would balance it against a good player. That kind of structure where you do only 100% one thing's against this one type of player, and then 100% the other thing against a different type of player, and then balancing against good players, that comes up so much. I imagine that people would have needed to play a lot against like good players, medium players, and bad players to be able to have that kind of intuition. But it's something that I remember Greg Merson and I like connected on the first time we met when we were talking about overbetting turns, and I think I used that exact thing where I was like, yeah, I would definitely, I tend to balance it against really good players and always have it against medium players and always be bluffing against bad players. And he was like, exactly, me too. Yeah. So yeah, with ace-9 here, got to keep balancing those c-bet sizes because there's been enough of them that just look a bit too fishy not to. But ace-9 is pretty nutted here. Like, you're going to get a lot of pair and straight draws here as well. You got some 8-5s, 8-6s, 7-5s, 7-6s, 4-5, 6-4s, and then also some ace-X that we beat as well. So hopefully go for at least half pot. I think half pot's a good size. Once you go 2/3, and the others can start, like 4-5s can start folding. Solid consistency. I remember this. So this is where I'm pretty sure Gibbles should be folding. But he's having none of it. His implied odds just aren't there. When his 5s, he doesn't get. I mean, like, he does stack a 6, but it's just so hard for me to have a 6. And then, like, what's he gonna do on a 10 or something? I just check back most of the time, and he's just not getting the odds. And yeah, that happens. I think he should probably be leading there if he's check calling that. Just, I don't know, rep something else, rep some bottom pairs or rep some 10-9s.